Good afternoon, guys. This is Mr. Yisrael, and today's video is going to be the first video in our honesty series. Just like the responsibility series, this one will cover a number of different videos, stories involving the virtue of honesty and what it means to be honest and its true value within our modern society. So, today's story is going to be the story of the Honest Woodsman, adapted by Emily Poussin. The Honest Woodsman, adapted from Emily Poussin. Once upon a time, out in the green, silent woods, near a rushing river that foamed and sparkled as it hurried along, there lived a poor woodcutter who worked hard to make a living for his family. Every day he would trudge into the forest with his strong, sharp steel axe over his shoulder. He always whistled happily as he went, because he was thinking that as long as he had his health and his axe, he could earn enough to buy all the bread his family needed. One day he was cutting a large oak tree near the riverside. The chips flew fast at every stroke, and the sound of the ringing axe echoed throughout the forest, so clearly you might have thought a dozen wood choppers were at work that day. By and by, the woodsman thought he would rest a while. He leaned his axe against the tree and turned to sit down, but he tripped over an old gnarled root, and before he could catch it, his axe had slid down to the bank and into the river. The poor woodsman gazed into the stream, trying to see the bottom, but it was far too deep there. The river flowed over the lost treasure just as merrily as it had before. "What will I do?" the woodsman cried. "I've lost mine axe, and how will I feed my children now?" Just as he had finished speaking, up from the lake rose a beautiful woman. She was the water fairy of the river and came to the surface when she heard the sad voice. "What is your sorrow?" she asked kindly. The woodsman told her about his trouble, and at once she sank beneath the surface and reappeared in a moment with an axe made of pure silver. "Is this the axe you lost?" she asked. The woodsman thought of the multitude of fine things he could buy for his children with the silver. But the axe wasn't his, so he shook his head and answered, "My axe was only made of steel." The water fairy laid the silver axe on the bank and sank into the depths of the river again. In a moment she rose and showed the woodsman another axe. "Perhaps this one is yours?" she asked. The woodsman looked down. "Oh no," he replied, "this one is made of gold. It's worth many more times than mine." The water fairy laid the golden axe on the bank, and once again she sank down into the depths. Up she rose. This time she had the missing axe in her hand. "That is my axe," the woodsman cried. "That is surely my old axe." "It is yours," said the water fairy, "and so are these other two now. Consider them gifts from the river, because you have told the truth." And that evening, as the woodman trudged his way home, with all three axes on his shoulder, he whistled happily as he thought of all the good things they would bring his family. In this story, we learn the importance of telling the truth and keeping our integrity. Telling the truth is far more valued than silver or gold because you maintain your integrity or strength of character and are seen as trustworthy by those around you. There is a saying by Albert Einstein: "Those who cannot be trusted in small matters cannot be trusted in important ones." In the story, the woodsman chose to be honest and true despite the possibility of having an easy gain and benefiting from a lie. The huntsman is well rewarded beyond both silver or gold, both priceless metals, by maintaining his authenticity and strength of character.